you don't know me, I'm Claire Perry-Louise, and I have been a coach for Simon since, I don't know, 2014, quite a long time. But I do my own stuff, but I pop in and help Simon occasionally and do some coaching for him as well. So that's how you might know me. Well, he probably did know me. So I used to be a lawyer, and then I went on Simon's 3-day course actually, and it completely transformed my life. And now I'm an entrepreneur, a coach, and my main passion is community building. And it's taken me on a massively amazing journey, and I coach CEOs, been into corporate businesses. I've run courses and group courses, and worked with Facebook. I've done so many things. So I think probably a lot of that's come from the fact that I've just taken action on stuff. So make sure you definitely do take action on things, because that's what gets the results. Because you never know from just like, if you listen to me today and don't do anything with it, it's not going to move you forward. So David from Aberdeen, hello. I don't know what Edward's laughing about. You're laughing a lot. Did I say a joke, or was it just something else? I can't remember. Arthur from Newmarket, excellent. Thank you, Abigail, that's kind. My photo shoot I had, you end up having to use the same pictures. Although hopefully I don't look too dissimilar, because when you meet people and then in real life they look nothing like they do on the pictures, you're like, huh? People have done that to me before. I'm like, I don't know who you are. Anyway, so this happened this week. I just thought I'd share this with you. I took the exam with Facebook, and I'm now officially certified as a community manager. But to be honest, I don't really need the badge, because I help Facebook understand community more, because I've been involved in community building for much longer. But I took the exam just so I could get the badge, and I got it. Whoop, whoop. So I'm completely certified now in it, even though I run my own communities already, but I have the badge, so it must be better. Morning, Julia, nice to see you. Oh, right, okay, that's what we're laughing at, the bice. I can't even say it. You're from the B place. That is what I'm going to say. I can't say anything more than that, can I? Oh, William, any good tips for someone who has their Facebook account permanently disabled? How did that happen? What did you do? You're in Facebook jail. Can you not open up a new Facebook account? I would say. That was my first thing, I would say. I think we had that kind of issue before with business school. I think we had to just open up a new account. So I'm glad I entertain you, Edward. I'm glad. I tried to entertain you, because you come on these morning ones like whoop, whoop. But you know, it's all about chatting, to be honest. I want to talk to you. Tell Simon off. Like, let's talk to everyone. Thank you, Julian. Thank you for my certificate. I'll move on from that. I thought I'd give you a bit, because I thought I come on here every week. You probably got no idea who I am. So here's a little bit of a montage of all the things I do. So in the thing that I'm most proud of, I think, is definitely the picture of everyone on the Zoom screen, because I set up a community called Like-Hearted Leaders, and we meet every week and we have real conversations, and it's amazing. So that's what I've done, and then that's me speaking, and we do my book. So the point is, really, you know, I've done a few things, so I have got something to tell you if you want to listen to me, but don't believe anything I say, because it's all about taking your own path, and no one has the magic formula. So all of this stuff it looks glamorous maybe, but it's not. It's hard. So don't get disappointed if you haven't done these things, but just try them out. So let's see what we're really talking about. You don't want to talk about me anymore. Woohoo! I only just added in those first slides. It's like people, I just get talking. I think you all know who I am. So Jerry says, my Facebook account was disabled last July, and it's taken me this long to get it reinstated. Oh, they apologised and then reinstated me yesterday. Oh, right, thanks, Facebook. So this is a valuable lesson for you all. Do not rely on a platform that is outside of your control, because essentially, if you have a Facebook group, for example, and you build a community on there, that is a third-party platform and it doesn't belong to you. And so, like what Jerry's saying, he got his account shut down, and then they went, oh, sorry, like they could have destroyed your business in that year. So always make sure that you build out a business ecosystem of all of your assets. And that means that you have a website, you have a social media presence, you do things. So if you want to build community, like my community is on a Zoom, and we meet through Zoom and we chat each week. And it's not reliant, obviously it's reliant on Zoom, the software, but I could use various other softwares if Zoom wouldn't let me use their accounts anymore. But it's really, really important not to focus just all of your attention on one platform. So yes. Good morning, Jenny. Thank you. That's very kind. Yeah, my badge. I don't know what I can do with that badge, really. Anyway, I've got the badge. It's all exciting. So what we're going to talk about is, and if you do have questions, William's interested. Jerry, how did you manage to get your Facebook back again? I don't know if you can read these messages. I think it might just be me. So Jerry, how did you manage to get it back? William wants to know. So, hi, Jane. So, this is why I'm not allowed to chat to you, because I'd just be chatting to you all and I would not tell you anything. So I just thought we'd talk about social media strategy today and how you implement one. Now, this is what I want to say about strategy. I feel like it's one of those words that freaks you out. I always feel like I need to have a strategy. And if I work with somebody, I'm like, I need to have my strategy. So don't get freaked out by it. It's just like a plan, basically. Use the word plan. It's probably much easier. So I recently did a course for Simon about social media, and I did some research into it. And social media can be divided into 6 categories. So the first category is strategy. So try and think about that maybe as a plan. So that's the planning around it, which sort of leads into planning. So it's like strategy and planning. It's kind of like having a structure maybe around your planning. So that's one of the 2 different areas, and maybe sort of, I don't know, I just think sometimes strategy makes it more fancy. It's a bit like you can have fancy names when you have job titles, but actually it means you're in customer service, but it might be like client relationship operations manager. It just means you're in customer service. So don't get too overwrought with it. And then there's publishing, obviously sending out your content, and publishing content is going to talk to your audience. Listening and engaging. This is really important to listen, because, for example, with a webinar, it's just me talking, and if you've got something you want to feed back to me, we could go on a really great conversation, but it's just a one-way street on this webinar. It's really important to listen and engage as well, because that's what creates the interactions. And then analytics and reporting. It's really important to monitor what's going on when you are running social media campaigns, because maybe different types of content work better or at different times. And if you don't ever look at it, you're never really going to know how you can improve, because it's always about feedback and improvement. So, for example, if you decided to run an online course and no one signed up the first time, what could you improve the next time? Is your marketing message not right? Do you need to speak to people in a different way? So there's things like that which are really, really important, and analytics and reporting forms part of that. And advertising, like how do you advertise what you're doing and get people to come along and engage with your brand? So before we move on to the first steps, I'm just going to share, I don't think you can see, Jerry says he appealed twice and it was, for the whole time it was disabled, and then he finally spoke to a human. And that's the thing, isn't it? It's like that human interaction. So this week I was feeling unmotivated, a bit miserable, to be honest. And I rang my friend. She's like, what's going on? You're ringing me. People don't use the phone. But she was said, I'm feeling really nervous. And it's like, how often do people ring you now? It's always text message, isn't it? So, and I'm definitely guilty of that. And actually, if you can speak to people and, you know, have humans involved, you feel much better because you feel more connected to people. So this is really, like, everyone always talks about this whenever you do trainings on things, but it's super, super important that you set your goals. And if you, you know, there's that classic example, like if you get in your car and you've got a sat nav and you're like, right, turn the sat nav off, we're going. And you're like, right, okay, are we there yet? You're like, well, where are we going? And so the sat nav can't do the job because it doesn't know the destination. And so it can't calculate what points along that journey you're going to meet, which will know you're getting closer to that destination. So you really, really do need to set your goals ahead. And it really applies to everything. And, you know, I'm guilty of sometimes not doing that, but you need to know where you're striving to, because as humans, there's always that we want this fundamental needs as humans, and we want to grow and become a better human. And if we don't feel we're growing, then we get despondent and we don't carry on. So, for example, my daughter, she's going to gymnastics on Saturdays, although I say she can't go today because I'm doing this. But the point is she hasn't been moved up the group, whereas she's in the top of her group. But I think because of COVID, she's not been moved up because they're keeping the group small. And now she's losing interest. And it's just really, really interesting that that where you don't progress as humans, you do give up. So have your goals set. It's super important. So here are some of the goals that you might set for your social media strategy. And if you haven't got a product or service and you're just thinking about how you can, you're on this webinar this morning, you can build your personal profile and your personal brand by talking about things that are important to you. So this is what I did. I used Facebook to build my whole network and get connected and all those kind of things. I didn't use any paid routes to grow. And I'd meet people at events, I'd connect with them on social media and build relationships. And I didn't ever do it in a way that I was doing it to get things out of people. I was just doing it for purely for building relationships wise. So these are some of the goals that you might set yourself. So increase brand awareness. So that's about people knowing who you are and understanding what you're about. So you can use social media. Maybe that's your goal, just to get more aware, get people more aware of you. And then there's growing your revenue. So maybe if you are selling things and you're making £100 a month and you think, right, I want to move to 150, at least you've got that target. So what does that extra 50 mean? Does it mean I have to sell 5 more things, or do I have to sell 1 more thing? And then at least you know what you're targeted for. So that's another example. It might be that you need to get new traffic to your website or a different platform, or increase the click-through rate. So that's the amount of people who click through your links. So you want to see, that's sometimes known as CTR rate. It might be that you want to increase mentions. So that could tie into your brand awareness. So how many people are mentioning you, or you could follow hashtags as well, that kind of thing. And the thing that I'm most passionate about is building a community with your audience. So there is, and I did do a webinar on this. I think all of my webinars are on the YouTube Saturday School channel, but I was talking about building community. And I think I probably spoke about how there's a difference between building an audience and a community. So community is people who feel connected to each other and they have a shared identity of some sort. And so if you're being a marathon runner, for example, you might be part of a community that's going towards that goal. But if you are just reading people's posts and engaging, you're probably part of an audience. So let me have a look. Looks like there's a question here somehow. I can't see it. It will not let me see it. What was in the Q&A? Whoever put something in the Q&A won't let me click on it. I don't know why. I will look at it later. But if you want to put there's 3 questions in the Q&A. If you put them in the chat, it's easier for me to see them, because for some reason it won't let me click on it. I do not know why, but I will check them at the end, but I can't check them at the moment. So just pop them in the chat if that was you putting a question. I can't answer it. And then, like I was saying about the satellite navigator, have sub goals. So if I'm going from Devon to London, I'm going to pass through Salisbury, for example. And then I know there's a place that I often stop if I go to London, near Salisbury. And so once I get to Salisbury, I'm like, okay, I'm here in Salisbury and I can rest for a bit, have a cup of tea, whatever it might be. But you feel like, oh, I'm making progress. I've got to Salisbury, I've got my tea, it's like my reward, that kind of thing. So Richard, thank you. If you were the one who put the question in, could you explain hashtags, what they are? So hashtags are a way to follow things online. So it's what the hashtag looks like like that sort of thing, hashtag, and then you might put, if you put hashtag Claire Perry Louise, you probably won't find anything. But I was using a hashtag on Instagram, doing hashtag Claire Share. So I was doing these tiny videos answering a question. So someone had asked me a question, and without thinking about it, I would say the question is, and I'd read it, and then I'd record what my response was, and I hashtagged them Claire Share. So if you went into Instagram, for example, and put it in hashtag, you could search for Claire Share and you'd find all my videos where I tagged myself on there. So if you're a business and say one of you has a business here and you're selling ceramics and your business is called Cute Ceramics, you could use the hashtag Cute Ceramics. So you can make your own hashtags, but I could then search under Cute Ceramics and find all the posts. So if I bought your item, I might put that hashtag, oh, I'm loving this, and then I might put hashtag weekend goals, for example, hashtag cute ceramics, hashtag loving life. And so if you search into those hashtags, then you can find that content. So if you are, say you're using Instagram, it's part of growing your Instagram feed would be using hashtags. So it allows other people to find your content. But some hashtags, like hashtag Friday, there'll be millions and millions and millions of people who use hashtag Friday. So then you have to look at smaller hashtags. So like Claire Share probably has 100 because I've only used it 100 times. So that's kind of what hashtags is about. So they work a little bit like keywords, a little bit like keywords. It's just kind of a way to find content, really, and you can find it across platforms. So it's just a way to search. So if you went into the Facebook search at the top and you put in hashtag paddleboarding, it would come up with all the posts and everything where people had been talking about paddleboarding, and you'd be able to find that content easily. So you can make up whatever you like. In fact, I used to say hashtag whatever before everyone used hashtags, but then it became a proper thing. So hopefully that answers that question. Yeah, so it's a bit of a link of sorts. That's right. Yes, Anwar, I can see the questions in the chat. So put your questions in the chat, because at the moment I can't see them in the Q&A. I don't know why, but I can't see them. And also William asks Jerry if he has a phone number to speak to a human. So I'm like the in-between person here. So if you've got that, if you have a phone number to speak to Facebook, that would be appreciated by William. So that's hashtags. Yeah, everyone's really excited about the human talking. So Louise says, as someone looking for something, do I need to use hashtag before the content, or will it still find the content without the hashtag? So hashtags really are an additional way for people to come across your brand and grow brand awareness. So you would write typically your content first, and then you'd finish it off hashtag. So if, say, you're a hashtag entrepreneur workshop, the idea is that if you're going to run an entrepreneur's workshop, someone might be searching entrepreneur workshops to see all the people who've done entrepreneur workshops. And then because they're searching, they come across your content. So yeah, so you use the hashtag after the content. And it works better on some platforms more than others. So for example, Facebook's, Instagram's always been about hashtags, but Facebook only recently, probably last year or so, started incorporating hashtags, and it wasn't so much of a thing on Facebook, but now they are using hashtags. So try and be relevant with the hashtags. It's just an extra way to find content. But the thing is like write good content and people will find you if you're showing up regularly, and that's really important, the consistency. So when you're thinking about setting these goals as you're moving forward, no, Richard, they don't just exist on Twitter. They're all over. Twitter is probably where they started, actually, hashtags, but they're everywhere now. Instagram, Facebook, all the other platforms. So that's okay. So remember, like, a goal is not inspiring until it's attached to a measurable result. So it wouldn't be necessarily inspiring to stop at Salisbury on the way to London unless you're like, okay, I'm going to stop there, I'm going to have a cup of tea, I'm going to get out, I'm going to stretch my legs, and then like, oh yeah, okay, that sounds good. So you need to attach them to some kind of result. So if you were trying to grow more sales and you wanted to move up your sales revenue, that would be more inspiring, because you're like, okay, more sales means more money, means more profit, and maybe then you attach it to another goal. So I'm going to buy myself a new laptop if I reach these sales goals. So that's the important thing about setting goals and attaching them to something as well to make it measurable. So David says, it took me 3 years to build up 600 subscribers to a Facebook group for a Nigerian orphanage. If I want to build a Facebook group and a YouTube channel, how can I speed up the process? Well, I have the answer that I truly believe is the answer, but you're probably not going to like it. But it's, imagine this, like tonight you're going to go on a date with someone, and then you get in there and the guy says, or the girl says to you, oh, it's been amazing this date. Shall we get married? And then you're like, I'm not sure. We just met tonight. Not really sure. And the guy says, I just want to speed up the process. Come on, choppy chop. Let's get married. Let's forget all this other stuff. See if we're right fit for each other. See if we've got shared values. All the rest of it. It's just like, yeah. So that's important. Like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you can't speed up that process, and that's why those 3 years of you doing the 600 subscribers is super important, because you built those relationships. So you go on the date, and then 3 years later, you know where you fit with each other. So you can't speed the process up, is my answer to that. You can use things like more brand awareness. So when Ben comes on shortly and talks about Facebook ads, you can use things like Facebook ads to get more brand awareness, to get people into your Facebook group, give them value, connect with them. But my community, for example, I started it over a year ago, and people are really close in that community, but they weren't as close a year ago because they hadn't had that time. So you can't really speed things up, but you can be consistent. And say with your YouTube channel, if you want to grow that, just post every day, but make sure you do post every day. So that would sort of speed it up, rather than, but building relationships can't be sped up. And well done doing it organically. And the other thing is, if you want to Google 1,000 true fans, it's a really good article about how you actually only need 1,000 true fans who really, really like you to build a really good business. So Google that. So on Facebook, why do we get the same set of friends posts repeatedly? Some friends are like out of sight and hence out of mind. How can we get everyone in our Facebook friends list to see what we post? Well, unfortunately, Lorena, the issue with that is we are all under Facebook's rules, and they have the algorithm. Now, no one really knows why the algorithm does what it does and shows what it shows. Probably not even Mark Zuckerberg knows everything about it, but basically it's probably using artificial intelligence to show up posts. And so maybe you see the people who you regularly engage with. And so if you want to start engaging with other people, you need to go into your friends list and go and look at their stuff and engage in their posts, because basically the algorithm will show things up that of people who you are regularly in contact with and reinforce that. They won't necessarily show up random posts from people you're not engaging with. So unfortunately, unless you're engaging with people, it won't show up. So yeah. So that is the answer to that. So there's another question there, but I'm just going to carry on for a bit, otherwise I'll run out of time. I'll come back to the next question in a moment. So here's some examples of some sub goals. So you might want to increase your overall follower count, increase reach. So get to reaches the number of people who see your posts. So it doesn't mean they're necessarily engaging with it by giving you a like or anything like that, but they're engaging with your posts. You might want to increase your comments, increase your number of mentions you're getting, your overall likes, or improve your follower to like ratio. So see how many people are following you. So there's some examples of sub goals. Yeah, there's some water. So that said, they're pretty much engagement sub goals. So it might be that other things are more important, like how many people are actually reaching out to you and sending a direct message and you're getting more contact. So just think about what you're trying to achieve and what might be the steps that get you to go there. So other things you might be thinking about are clicks to your website, you know, where the people are coming from, are they in your country, and how long they stay on your website. So if people go to your website and then leave within 2 seconds, then they're obviously not engaged with maybe your headline, and that's what needs improving. So that's why analytics is really, really important, so you can follow up on these things. Growing revenue, again, is something that we've spoken about. You might want to see if you can increase the revenue you're getting from using ads. And it's just important that you're monitoring this. So if you're putting money into ads, and Ben's going to talk about ads, make sure you realise that if you're putting in £10, are you getting out £20? Or is it just you're trying to increase brand awareness, in which case you will be looking at the number of people who are reaching and seeing your posts. So just make sure you attach it to what you're trying to achieve. So we're talking again here about hashtags. So growing leads could be something that you want to do through your social media. And how many people are using your hashtag. So maybe if you're asking people to share and use your hashtag, so for example, there's a hashtag that's popular called hashtag small businesses. And you might want to look on there and you could see all the people running small businesses who are using that hashtag. So it's a good way to see like who's actually engaging, who's using your hashtags, those kind of things, because you might have your own branded hashtag for your business, like I was saying about cute ceramics. Let's have a look on the questions. Okay, so Anne was, one of my questions is, let me just, yeah. A lot of coaches, experts are already established in their field before going freelance and building their own brands. In a case where like you were in the legal field and became successful in a completely different field, how does one become credible and gain authority in such cases? With no results, no testimonials in the niche you're entering, if you're passionate about, but not established with a track record. Okay, so you're saying, like, how do you move from one field to another one where you haven't got any results? So I can only share from my experience, but my experience is when I moved fields and I went onto Simon's course, and then I was really, I felt like I'd found the thing that I really loved. And so I really immersed myself into it. And I started learning quite a lot. In fact, I would say I'm hundreds of times better at what I do now than I ever was as a solicitor. And I had all of the qualifications, obviously, to be a solicitor. But it's a gradual process. So when I got involved with it, I got really interested in membership sites. So I thought that was a really great way to build relationships. And so one of the first things I did was I put a lot of time and research into writing a book. So back in November, I think it must have been 13, I wrote a book about how to make money from membership sites, which to me now is out of date for me because I've moved on and I've learned so much over the years. But I got that published and it was my best thinking at the time. I can't remember what I wrote in it now, but I think I interviewed people. So I think I interviewed Simon and Richard McMahon. I can't remember, but I interviewed people who were already experts in their field. So I was kind of there saying, this is what my take is on membership sites. I got case studies of people who were running really successful membership sites. And at that stage, I hadn't got a membership site or hadn't built a community, but I was speaking to people who already were. So I was kind of highlighting them and adding my input into it. And then I started selling the book and I sold a lot of copies of it. And then on top of that, I took opportunities. So Simon asked me to speak at one of his events, and it was a small event for people who are in his mentorship program. And when I did that, like the first time, I wasn't that good. And but then I kept doing it again because that's where you kind of give up. So I did it again. And then the first thing I did probably in 2014 is Simon and I did a joint seminar where we talked about how to make money from membership sites. We did quite a few, but the first one we did, and we did it as a joint seminar. And Simon did maybe over half of the content, and I did, like a quarter of it maybe. So Simon already had the credibility, but I was adding my side into it. So then after that, people gave me testimonials. And so I shared those testimonials and they said, Claire had a lot of value and we really enjoyed this joint. It was a joint thing with Simon. And then I did, say, an online course, and then I got the testimonials. And then also early on, I would help out people for free. And I would say, if they got a result that they were happy with, I said, would you be willing to give me a testimonial for me to do this for you for free? So that's some of the examples. So that just builds and builds and builds. So I did more and more speaking engagements, and then I did an online course, and then I did a group course, and then I got their testimonials, and then I kept building relationships. So and I was sharing this all. Like I kind of fall out of love with Facebook, but I used to share everything on Facebook. I used to do Facebook Lives talking about everything that I knew about. So that's pretty much how I did it. So hopefully that helps. So hopefully that helps, Anwar. That's how I did it. So just do it in that way. Like find people to partner with would be my tip. Second thing, start writing and putting out content, because that sets you up as an authority. Because the likelihood is if you are, I was a solicitor because my dad thought it was a good track thing for me to do, and he thought it was a good thing. Like, it wasn't my passion. And once I found my passion, like, if you looked in my house, it's full of books. I spend all my time reading and listening to Audible and going on courses and investing in myself and spending money on all kinds of business things. So I'm way more qualified than I ever was. But it's just like that Facebook certification. I didn't need that badge because I already run communities and I've done it for years, and I've worked with big organizations doing it. So I know that I'm a great community manager. However, it just gives you that added authority. So hopefully that answers that. So Jerry says you get a case number when you try and appeal. So you can try emailing support.facebook.com, and that is how it works. So I'll see if I can copy that. So hopefully that's helpful. There we go. That's what Jerry says. Emailing, that's one. Right. So Google, yeah. So Luke, there's an article called 1000 True Fans. And if you put that into Google search engine, you will find that article which talks about you only need 1000 true fans to build a really good business. So hopefully that clears that up. Edmund's asking, saying he's become a unitary councillor. Well done. That sounds very official. That sounds really good, being elected to that. Twitter seems to be the preference for politicians. Can you advise on how to build up a following and how to use this channel effectively? And you already have a reasonable following. Well, I think I've never really enjoyed Twitter, to be honest, but people love it. So I would say a few things. I'd say I actually bought a book on Twitter years ago to understand it more, and decided it's not really for me and it's not really where I want to be. So I would say find some training on Twitter. Second thing I would say is any of these platforms, it's about showing up consistently and sharing good content and engaging. So that's what it's really important. So if someone comments on something, it's engaging in that comment and building up relationships like that, sending DMs. So it's probably a combination of building up is advertising that you're on Twitter, on your other channels if you've already built those up, engaging in conversations regularly. And Twitter is one of those platforms that is very quick. Like, things are shared and then they're lost and they go. So it's a very quick platform. So you're going to need to be up there frequently engaging. That would be what I'd say. And you can share people from your other platforms over there. But people probably who are on TikTok, like you say, you've got good following on there, are probably not going to be Twitter users, because they're probably going to be a different demographic. So your demographic probably is on there, and just have a look at what other politicians are doing and how they're showing up, and use that as a guideline. That's what I would say. William says, I've been trading the international markets for more than 20 years. I would now like to help and teach others to successfully trade the markets and make a daily income. Any tips on how to launch this online? So this is about what we're talking about now. It's like looking at what your goals are and setting out the strategy around that, about how you're going to share it, how you're going to build brand awareness. So the first thing to anything is definitely building brand awareness. So I'm going to carry on with the presentation to see if I cover what you were asking, and then I'll come back and just finish off that. But brand awareness is definitely the thing to launch online. So we were talking about that, and we're talking about how to grow leads. So, and this is probably where, William, this is your question answered it as well, and everybody else's. So research is so important, this research element, when you're setting up a social media strategy, because you can go in there blind and you dive straight in, and then you're thinking, okay, I'm going to start doing this, and you haven't really researched what's out there and what's missing, because that's really important, that you find those problems that people are not getting answered. And often, so if you are trading, William, you'll know what some of the problems are that people come against, or if people want to get into that market and they don't know where to start, or there's lots of people maybe in that market who are trying to sell information that's not true. Maybe that's something that's an issue, and maybe you address that in your marketing and in your brand awareness strategies. So when you are doing some research in whatever niche you're going to do your research in, have a look and consider, what are the marketing trends at the moment? So what are the popular campaigns? So remember things like the ice bucket challenge. That was a really trending, popular campaign. And so people would have been putting that hashtag ice bucket challenge and see all these people have the ice tipped over their heads. And that's a trend. Now, can that be part of what you're doing in your social media campaign or not? So think about things like that. And locations as well. So if you're a small business, are you trying to go online, and where would you ideally want to be selling? So think about locations to post, and you can post where you are when you're sharing, say, through Instagram. And so people who are in that area might be searching for hairdressers in the local area, and they might come across your post if you shared your location. And then the other thing is, I think I've just jumped two ones. Yeah, who are your competitors? So you might have people who are directly in competition with you, but there might be other people who are doing similar things, so they're indirectly in competition with you. So have a look at what they're doing, what's working well for them and what's not working well for them. Because if you can see what's working in others, take from them things that appeal to you. Don't copy them, because it's really important that you stay authentic to you and your brand. And I've learned this a lot over my last 8-9 years doing this. Like, there's always this thing like, she's doing this or she should be doing that. None of us should be doing anything. We should be doing what feels aligned with our values, because that's how people connect with other people, because they connect through values. So if you really enjoy running and eating healthily, you've got certain values around health. And so it's much more likely your friends and people around you are going to be connected as well to things that are, more healthy. Whereas you're probably not going to be necessarily have lots of friends who spend every day going to fast food places and going to the pub every evening. It's not going to be they're not going to be your people. Your people are going to be going to play tennis or going for a cycle, that kind of thing. So it's important that you stay true to who you are, because if you don't do that, it's really hard to be like spit in. It's just be you, because then you'll attract the right people. So think about who's in your audience. And so a bit like you're asking Edmund. So politicians, like, who's your audience? They are on Twitter. And so that's where you need to be to build up connections and relationships. So it's important that you do build up those relationships with people, the politicians, and be favourable to them, because you never know where it's going to help you. So we're all humans after all. So you need to think about, and when you're setting out your social media plan, think about which platforms do they use. And that's, so Edmund's done really well there, because he's decided that politicians are on Twitter. So what content do they like to consume? So see what they're consuming on there, what links they're sharing. And if you look at the most popular politicians, that's so funny to say, you can see if they're often sharing links to something and people are really engaging in that, maybe that's something you can do, not the same links, but similar things that they're sharing. So, and think about what kind of businesses do they like. So look at your target audience, and if you are, if the target audience, you want to connect with people who are supporting small businesses, they're the kinds of hashtags you might be using. So look at other small businesses, what hashtags are they using, and use them in your content. And think about, can you paint a picture of your target audience? And I know that if you do any training, this always happens. It's like, oh, we're going to talk about our target audience. It could be anybody. Yes, it could be, but the more you can really clip into who you're talking to, it's so much easier. So my friend's been a copywriter for 25 years, and she has in the past been writing for charities. And she says that when she writes for a charity, she gets a picture of her mum and she puts it on the wall, and she looks and thinks, how would I speak to my mum? What would connect with my mum? And so how much money does my mum have? Or how would my mum engage with this? Would she be on Instagram engaging with this? Or would she be doing something different? So when you can really think about who you're talking to, it's much easier to write content and connect with them. So where do they live? How much money do they have? Do they comment and engage? So if you're talking about something that maybe it's, say, weight loss or something like that, it might be a little bit more delicate and people might need to be in a safer space. So they're not going to be talking about that on a Facebook page. You might need to build a community around that, because people want to have that kind of degree of privacy, and they might not want to share stuff about losing weight because they might find it embarrassing. So really do think about who your person is. And even if your person is Sally and you always write your content and think about Sally, it doesn't mean that somebody else can't come in and buy your stuff. It doesn't mean you're closing down all avenues, but where you really niche and concentrate on one person and one target person, it can really help you serve that person properly. So I think Simon uses that example of brain surgery or having your teeth done or something like that. It's like, you don't want to see someone who just can do any old bits and pieces on the body, but someone who specializes in brain surgery, does it every single day, you definitely want to go and see them, because they're going to be the absolute expert in brain surgery. I think that's an example. I'm not sure he says it like that, to be honest. And there's a few helpful resources here. I put they're helpful, they might not be helpful, but and I got a random one at the end. So answer the public, I think you get 3 free searches a day. So think about your topic area when you're doing your content planning, and you can put in the keyword for that. So if you put in, I don't know, I can't think of anything now, but you put in your keyword, so community building, it comes up with a whole list of all the things people are searching for around community building. So the keywords, so how to build community, why should I build community, what are the first steps to build community. It will tell you what everyone's searching for. So it's a really good resource, and you can have 3 free searches a day. Google Keyword Planner, looking at keywords, and that's the things that people put into search engines when they're trying to find something. So if they want an iPhone 12, they'll write in iPhone 12 in black, and that's what will come up. Canva.com is brilliant for all sorts. I create my slides on Canva.com. You can actually now use it to schedule posts into your social media. You can create all kinds of content on Canva, and it's free. So there is a paid version if you want some extra resources, but it's a free resource. And then the last one is random, but it's like saves my life. Like, tell me in the chat if you're a 1-tab person or a 90 tabs open at once, because if you've got 90 tabs open, I haven't got 90, but I always have so many tabs open. But anyway, 1 tab, put it into Google, just put in there, it will come up. And if you use Chrome, you press the button and then it puts all of those tabs into 1 tab, and then you can come back later on and restore them. It's the best thing ever. So I wanted to share that with you. So yeah, 100 tabs, Edward, yay. 90 for William, to Serena, 90. Yes, this is right. We're all 1 tab. Use it on Chrome. It's the best. So to be honest, if you take one thing from Way today, just take that. Never mind anything else I said. 1 tab, it will revolutionize your life. I told Simon that, and he was like, you know, when you tell someone they're not really listening, I was like, you're not listening to me about 1 tab. He wasn't listening. It's his own fault. Right. So let me just check the questions. So hopefully, William, that has answered. Hopefully I answered what you're asking. So best launching it online is the kind of the things I was saying to Anwar about showing authority. So launching something is about publicizing content, talking about that area. For example, if you're on LinkedIn, sharing articles about trading and what you've learned and all those kind of things. So launching is about brand awareness, about positioning yourself as the expert, because that's what you need to do, position yourself as an expert. And then around that, if you know Daniel Priestley, he has a book called Key Person of Influence. So I would recommend you read that one, Key Person of Influence. So I worked with Daniel Priestley and ran his client community for a couple of years. And let me just write his name in here. He talks about the 5 Ps, which are pitch, so you're pitching what you're doing, product, you have a product, publishing, partnerships, and profile. So profile is about raising your profile, so talking about the area that you're expert in. And like I had a book, I published a book on it, I published articles on it, I spoke on stage about things that have been passionate to me. And then partnerships, again, was something else I shared. So if you're new into a market, or if you want to start getting out there with your product, can you do partnerships with people who are already doing it and add your take onto things? So that's hopefully going to help you with that. William. Danny, what constitutes a perfect testimonial? Wow. So I guess the answer to that would be have different testimonials, have text ones. Visual ones are really good as well, especially you can get someone to do a video, because you can, if I was giving you a video one now, it means more because you can see how excited I am about it, and you can see that I'm a real person rather than someone's made something up. So that's really important. What else constitutes a perfect testimonial? Well, something that explores the fact that you have met their expectations, you've done something really good. Like, I don't know, I was like, you go to my LinkedIn, Claire Perry Louise, and read my recommendations, I would say they were very, I would say they are some examples of perfect testimonials, because I didn't ask for any of them. And like sometimes I read them like, oh my gosh. So go to Claire Perry Louise on LinkedIn, have a look at my recommendations if you need an example. There's some great ones in there. Hopefully that answers that. Birds of a feather flock together. That is true, Edward. And that's really important. Again, it's one of those things that's said quite a bit, but you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So hang out with people who inspire you, who make you a better version of yourself, not the moany ones, not the ones whose lives are always at the brink of the end of something. You know, I'm not denying it. You know, it's like everyone goes through difficult times. You know, like I said, I felt demotivated this week. I felt sad this week, but I'm around good people who lift me up. So that is true. That's okay, Luke. That's okay, William. Should we always, Alison says, should we always have a page and a group for a business on Facebook, or can we just start a group? So a Facebook page is basically your shop front. So it shows you that you exist. If someone looks for you on Facebook, they'll see that Facebook page and they can see links. So a group is more high maintenance. A group is about building community, and so a Facebook page is less maintenance, but is really good as a business to have one, like I say. So it looks like your shop front. And then the group is like, if you go inside, like what's inside and what can you share and what value are you giving to your people? So that's the difference. So you probably need both. If you are not both, you definitely need the Facebook page for brand awareness. And then you need to think about, and this is probably in one of my other talks, about like who are you bringing together if you're going to build a group? Like what's the identity that they share? So hopefully that answers that, Alison, because you're trying to create belonging and a sense of a shared identity. So if you're creating a group and you're doing a challenge to run a marathon, that would be a great place to foster relationships and get people talking within a group. So that's hopefully that answers that, Alison. I'm happy about the tab people. You are my people. Are you saying you can schedule posts in Canva? Yes, apparently you can. I think it's the paid for version, but they keep prompting me to start scheduling straight from Canva. So yes, I'm the one you can. David, minimum of 100. Yes. One tab's magic. It is the best. I don't know if you're using it, Danny, but use it. One tab. Take it from today's presentation. Email Simon, say the best thing about this presentation was her last line. Don't tell him that. He won't let me come back. Right. Peter. My brain is like my laptop. Too many tabs open. I don't know where the music's coming from. Yes, that's the best quote ever, isn't it? Very good. Yeah, it is. You know, you're doing that and some voice comes from above. You don't know what's going on. William, working on a book right now. Excellent. Fabulous. Get it out there. Don't leave it on your laptop. That's the worst thing you can do. If it answers the questions that people are looking for. If it answers the questions that people are looking for. I don't know. I don't know what you mean, Julian. Let me know. Yay, 1-0, Edward. I don't know what that means. I've missed. I can't keep up. And Gadev, would you put a link in your page? Put a link in your page or the group. Would you put a link to your page or the group? Do you mean my page? My Facebook page? I'm not very active on Facebook anymore, like I was mentioning. I kind of fell out of love with them. But oh, you've missed the best thing, Anwar. So the one tab is, if you Google it, if you use Chrome, you know when you have all your tabs open, what you can do is you download the extension and you press the button and it puts all your tabs into one tab, and then later on you can restore them from there. I think that's my Facebook link, I think. In fact, I'll show you. Let me just show you. Let's see. Let's have a look if I can get out of here. And then we're going to have Ben in a minute. Let's see if I can work this and show you one tab. Right, here we go. So here is one tab. This is the button here, one tab. So what you do is, this is the button. You press that button and I won't do it now because I don't want to knock you all off. And it puts it all into this tab here. So then what you can do is you can see all your tabs that you've had open. Oh my gosh, lots of tabs. But they're all in things. And then what you can do is you can do all kinds of cool things. So you can press restore all, and then that will restore all those 7 tabs so I can work with them. So if you're doing different projects and you want to go back to the project that you were on before, I'm assuming you can all see this, by the way. I'm just waffling on in case my friend always laughs at me. She goes, you always use that expression, waffling on. Let's hope you can see it. Yes, you can see it. Thank you. So yeah, so then you can just press it and restore them all, or you can share it as a web page. So if you're working with a team and you wanted people to see what all your tabs were, you can do that as well. It's the best thing ever. So you might want to go down to here, restore all. Good job I look at dull stuff, isn't it? This could be like all my shopping habits, but it's not. It's all my work. See all the work I do all the time. So there we go. One tab is the thing. It is pretty cool. It's really cool. Good tip, Chris. I think this is the best tip ever. I'm glad you can see it. Julian says, what I meant was if it answers the question asked by people. You know when you just lost the whole thread of what we were talking about? I'm sorry, Julian, but if you're telling me, I'm sure you want to answer people's questions. That's definitely sure. I'm sorry I don't quite follow. Yeah, so yeah, one tab's brilliant. Let's see. Let me just check. I can see the Q&As now. Everyone really wants to know about Jerry speaking to a human. So Abigail, you have a question, but in a moment, Ben's coming up and he's going to talk all about Facebook advertising. So I'm not going to answer that because Ben's going to answer that for you. Right, and Anna, I've repeated about one tab. It is the best thing. So that brings me to the end of my presentation, and we're going to move on to Ben. So thank you everybody for all your amazing questions and for talking to me. It's been really great to have you all on this morning. Don't go yet. Oh, thank you, David. I'll be back soon, actually. Let me see before I go. I'll tell you when I'm next back on, in case if anybody wants me to talk about a specific topic, do let me know. 31st of July, Saturday the 31st of July, I will be back. Woo woo! Saturday school, 31st of July. Put it in your diaries. No worries. Thank you, David. Thank you, Danny. No problems, everybody. Yeah, so we're going to have, you can have 4 minutes or 3 minutes, you got 3 minutes break, and then we're going to have